Good afternoon and welcome to another Wylde Stories, probably the most technically shambolic, but we have some new tech, we have a new microphone, hopefully you will be able to see and hear me way better, and welcome. Hi AJ, how are you doing? I hopefully have got everything set up correctly. Can you hear me? Can somebody confirm? Does this new microphone work? Well, I can hear myself in the other room, so I'm assuming it does. Yes, thank you so much, AJ. Yes, welcome. As you can see, we've got a new camera. So this is my study because the sheet I was using does not fit at all, which is great. So you get to see how I live. This is how I live. It's all right though, isn't it? Could be worse. Could not have. Hi, Rubes. So yeah, I've got all your comments coming in. Molly can hear me. Wonderful. Yeah, I've got all your comments coming into one place. I don't think we've got Instagram, but Instagram is always a little bit of a motherfucker. Is this gonna work? No. Okay, fuck it. Who cares? Oh, hi, Valentina. Hello, Violet. The usual suspects. Right. For all you early birds, I'm going to start off how I usually would with a poem. This is from this anthology. I did some Angela Carter before. Oh, look! Everything's the right way round, finally. There's your room, Valentina. Yes, this is how I live. This is our study. This is where we streamed from the other day for Mark's Q&A, if you saw that. It's very cozy. If you ever stay with us, this is the room you will be staying in. And we are very, very, very lucky that we have this extra room, even though we pay several of our firstborns for this. Got my Joe Exotic. Hi, Alex. Got my Joe Exotic shirt on. It's not sparkly, but it's close. It actually came from Cowboy Land. But rest assured, on my bottom half, I have a pair of my husband's underpants. So, you know, never knowingly out-glamoured. This is not my friend today. Whew, okay, so much stress. It was so stressful getting this started. So for you lovely early birds, I have got a little poem from Wayward Girls and Wicked Women by Angela Carter. This title might sound familiar if you are a fan of My Darling Lux or the band Sister Witch. That is because they stole it for a song. But it's a really, really, really good book. This one is from the story called, I believe it's The Plums. Yes, The Plums by Ama Ata Aidu, and it's a selection of short pieces and poetry. So for all you early birds, while we're settling in and getting used to each other, then we will have a poem from this. And it always stuck with me, this one. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't agree with what it's saying, but I think it's a beautiful poem nonetheless. None of these have titles, so I'm just going to go for it. Any good woman, in her senses with her choices, would say the same. In Asia, Europe, anywhere. For here, under the sun, being a woman has not, is not, cannot, never will be child's game. From knowledge, gained since, so why wish a curse on your child, desiring her to be female? ? Beside, my sister, the ranks of the wretched are full. That's from the middle of a story in Wayward Girls and Wicked Women. It's a wonderful anthology. I mean, anything Angela Carter likes has got to be good. Don't necessarily agree with that poem, because I really like being female-ish, but then I guess I'm female-ish. I can, yeah. So, it's a good one. Hi, Valentina. And relax, and relax, and relax. So how have we all been this week? You may notice I've got this super creepy frame. That was my attempt to try and get the screen to fit, and then I kind of fell in love with it. It's a bit spooky, so I'm probably going to Photoshop one myself for next week with the links to where you can donate and maybe a list of what we're reading as we go on. We've also got this weird little TV square here, so like I might just sort of casually like, I don't know how, I gotta go like, yeah, oh, this is confusing. Okay, I can like sign for you, like A, B, C, or I could just flip you off. Okay, I'm over it. This is my life this week. I don't know what's going on. For some reason, I think it's the change of the seasons. For some reason, this week has just been like absolutely nuts, absolutely crazy for me. Just been crazy. Yeah, a handy TV. We've got some comments here. I've yet to figure out the function that puts them up on screen. There is a way to do it. I don't know what that is. Yeah, Instagram's definitely not working. Fuck Instagram. Who cares about Instagram? That's a screen for Princess, says Valentina. Yes, it is a screen for Princess, but earlier on she tried to jump out of the window that was open in the study. Well, almost, and I had to stop her, so I'm not keen to have her in here while I'm streaming just because she will fuck shit up. Technical difficulties is also why you do not have an end credits. I have no excuse for that except I was fucking lazy and I reset my Animal Crossing island yesterday because I hated it and I got distracted by trying to catch it up to where it was before. So I have no one to blame but myself and my own laziness. I'm gonna undo this a bit more, be a bit more envy with it. So yes, that's housekeeping done. What other comments have we got? Mark says, I love The Company of Wolves, but that poem was cool. I should check it out. Yeah, I actually found this in a charity shop. I have never seen it before in my life, this book, Wayward Girls and Wicked Women. When did it come out? Let me have a look. And yeah, this for £2. Oh, I've actually written the lyrics to the Sister Witch song in the front at some point. 1986, same year I was born. Yes, friends, I am older than you think I am by a long way. But yeah, it's got a lot of, there's no actual Angela Carter in here, I think. Oh no, wait, my apologies. The Loves of Lady Purple is in here. FYI, says my wonderful husband, this sounds and looks brilliant. Oh, Instagram is working. Man alive. Fucking hell. Okay, thank you, baby. Never need for an excuse. Thank you for doing these amazing streams. Well, I like them. I do really, really like them. And look, with the right technology, I'm not bleached out. My pale as fuck skin. I'm gonna like, just... Okay, I'm over it. Oh dear, kids. Mania is not fun, huh? Don't know what the fuck planet I am on. But yeah, it's to have published an anthology, going back to Wayward Girls and Wicked Women, of really badass, feminist, forward-pushing literature in 1986 is amazing, and I'm so glad I found this in a charity shop. It was one of those books that sort of just came into my orbit, I suppose you could call it. I would probably say energetic circle, but then, you know, which. And yeah, I'm not gonna let it go. Also got really into stick and poke tattooing again. I used to do it a little bit in Brighton, only on myself. I'm not gonna give you a tattoo, sorry. But yeah, it's cute. Libra. Did some little lines and dots on my hands. Right, where are we at? 10 past. It is 10 past now, so housekeeping, yes, we have done that. Oh, yes, I have lost weight. No, I don't want to talk about it. But yes, I have lost a lot of weight. You are correct. And yeah, housekeeping. Sorry about the weird frame. Hi, Ross in Toronto. Oh yes, let me know if you're from anywhere other. Well, let me know where you are anyway. But let me know, especially if you're not a good friend of mine, where you are viewing from, where you are viewing from. Just because I like to know where around the world you all are. And maybe I'll get a way of posting it in this little screen. No, I won't. I'm just gonna South Wales. But right, let's kick this show off because we've not got long, and if I keep rambling at you, it's just going to be an hour of me talking, and nobody wants to hear that. Where you presently exist. Right. Oh yeah, I haven't got any captions either. Once again, blame Animal Crossing. Tom Nook is a capitalist bastard. But yeah, I still want to give him all my money and get all the cool things. I bought 3 Skull radios earlier because there was one that were in my shop. Right, so moving on from housekeeping in the first 10 minutes, just to make sure everybody's present and correct. You guys really liked it last time. It's sunny in Walthamstow. Oh, it's always sunny in Walthamstow, right? I'm not a fan of Walthamstow. Right, so yes, before last time, not last week, because last week I had a face that had blown up like a chipmunk. Had a dental abscess. They're the worst. They're the worst ever. I absolutely fucking hate the dentist, like genuine fear. And yeah, I left it way too long. The tooth fell out. And yeah, it's just nasty, gross stuff. But the week prior to that, when you all lovingly tuned in, I read a few things that were more narrative in form, and you seemed to really like that. So I dredged through everything that I had on this computer that I'd written, and pulled up a few more narrative pieces for you guys, just because it went down so well that Violet says, "Hope you're better now." Yeah, I'm way better. It was a real fight to get antibiotics. The guy was just like, "Well, if it's that bad, go to the hospital." And I was like, don't really think that that's the correct course of action. But in the end, after a row around in a circle, he gave me them, and it was fine. And I'm back. Guess who's back? Etc. I'm back with better technology, but poorer preparation skills. So, more narrative stuff. Yeah, so I've picked 2 pieces that are a little bit longer of mine, just to read to you. They're not very old. They're a little bit old. One of them is from my first album, Dichotomy. Yes. Yeah, I love being better and being back. It's important to keep in the flow of these things. Yeah. Right, as I was saying, 2 more narrative things. One on my first album, Dichotomy, is in there. I've actually got badges named after the 2 main characters in this one. I'm not sure if I've read it out here or not before, but it's longer and it's more narrative. And if I did read it out, it was more than last time or the time before ago. So it's my show and I can do what I want with it. Ha ha ha, Libra. And then I have another piece that I wrote for the first album but cut, just because the amount of prose that I had for the first album was really quite a lot. I sort of went through my best ever written things, and I really, looking back, I'm not sure why I didn't record it, especially because I did that one in like a really posh studio. Yeah, but I ended up cutting it out for a reason that I can't remember, although maybe I will remember when I'm reading it. So what I'm going to do first, I think, is read another short piece. I've just realised that I have picked all narrative stuff for you guys today, so strap in. Going to be a lot of talking, not quite as much as when we did Howl, but that was crazy. I think I pulled it off, though. We have like a proper mic as well, so you can probably hear me swallowing, and I'm not sorry for it. Some nice ASMR for you guys. Okay. What am I going to read? I think I am going to read this tabbed book. You know it's serious when you've tabbed your books. I'm going to go with that first green one. So this book here is by an artist called Sophie Calle. I don't know if any of you know her. I think she's become more popular since I saw it, but when I first saw her, it was like she was like this tiny little artist who had only done 2 major pieces, and she made this book called Exquisite Pain. Here we go. I'm just gonna bring it a little bit closer. Exquisite Pain, and it's got a beautiful sort of pearlescent red holographic. There's a stain on it. That's my fault. Holographic things. A friend gave me this after we went to the exhibition together, and yeah, really nice present. And Sophie Calle is a French artist, and a lot of her work focuses on things like connection or togetherness or people finding each other, and how that technology kind of intersperses with that. And Exquisite Pain is what I believe her first major artwork. Please correct me if I'm wrong, if you know out there that I am wrong, or if you're watching this back and I am incorrect, please tell me I fucked up, because I fuck up sometimes too. And basically, I'm just going to read you the blurb, actually, because I think Sophie says it better than I do. So on the back here it says, I left for Japan on October the 25th, 1984, unsuspecting that this date would mark the beginning of a 92-day countdown to the end of a love affair. Nothing extraordinary, but to me, at the time, the unhappiest moment in my life, and one for which I blamed that trip itself. I got back to France on January the 28th, 1985. From that moment, whenever people asked me how it went, I chose to skip the Far East bit and tell them about my suffering instead. In return, I started asking both friends and chance encounters, when did you suffer most? And I decided to continue such exchanges until I had got over my pain by comparing it with other people's, or had worn out my own story through sheer repetition. So, yeah. The start of the book is her recording how many days it is till what I'm going to call the event. And it's just kind of her photography. So you've got 36 days to the event, to unhappiness, the event. Mitchell and Webb will be suing me. 18 days to unhappiness with a map. So you've got all these glorious mementos of her trip. And yeah, then the pain happens, the unhappiness, and I think being broken up with is something we've all been through, something we've all experienced. So I'm gonna read you the first piece that she wrote after she was her heart was broken. I'm gonna just read this bit as well in the middle, which is her details of how it went down, because it's only a couple of pages. So we've been through all the trip stuff. I got back to France on January the 28th, 1985. From that moment, oh, hang on. I apologise, that's just the blurb. So you've already heard it. Streaming show, it's a live show, ladies and gents. Right. So, I'm going to go from 7 days ago because I think this is the most beautiful one, and 7 is my favourite number. So this is Exquisite Pain by Sophie Calle, and that is a play on Exquisite Corpse, you are correct. "7 days ago, the man I love left me. He was a friend of my father's. I had a crush on him even as a little girl, but I was 30 when I seduced him. From time to time, he would remind me that he wasn't really in love, but I blithely ignored the warning. He was living with me, after all. Then I was offered a study grant for Japan. He threatened to break off the relationship during my 3-month absence. It was too long. I decided to go anyway, fearing that otherwise I'd always blame him for the missed opportunity. To comfort in me, in spite of his ultimatum, he suggested we meet up in New Delhi at the end of my journey. I left Paris on October the 25th, 1984. I hated that trip. Then I got a letter from him. It said simply, 'Darling little wife, he was waiting.' And so all I lived for was January 24th, the date of our reunion. That day, 3 hours before his plane took off, he confirmed that he was coming. But at the airport, there was a telegram for me. He had had an accident. He was in hospital. I spent part of the night trying to contact him, imagining the worst. It was 2 a.m, and when he picked up the phone, yes, he had been in hospital to have an infected finger treated, he said. I knew. A few words blurted out over the phone. He told me that he had met another woman, that he hoped it was serious. Before hanging up, I said, poor me. I spent the rest of the night in room 261 at the Imperial Hotel, staring at the mouldy carpet, the red telephone. India had been his idea. He had made the reservations, chosen this place, which would be the setting for my suffering. And then this is the companion piece for this week of somebody else's most unhappy moment. It was at home in Bondi on May the 19th, 1980, a Sunday. I was 17. We were having a family lunch, my parents, my 2 brothers, and I. At 1 o'clock, my older brother stood up and said, "There's something I have to do," and before he left, he kissed my father. Later, they called my mother on the phone. When she hung up, she used simple-sounding words. "Something happened, Didier, something very serious. I'll be back soon. Don't move." She was crying. And the worst part was between 3 and 5 p.m, 2 hours waiting for her, 2 hours on my bed thinking of paralysis, of death, looking through the curtains at the sky. Then, at 5 p.m, I learnt that he had jumped off the train from Bondi to Paris. That it was my father's birthday, that we'd all had lunch together, that we had everything we needed for a happy and peaceful Sunday. So, yeah, when did you suffer most? Not when were you most unhappy, when did you suffer most? It's really beautiful, and these frames are big. The photography obviously is huge, these huge portraits, and then the words that are like this in the book, just regular text, are stitched underneath the photos on the ones that you see in the exhibition. So yeah, mixed media there, human connection. Look up Sophie Calle if you wanna explore her. She also did this thing where she got on a flight and picked a guy to follow around, let him go at the airport, and saw if he could find him again. If she could find him again. Pronouns. I always fuck up pronouns. I've no concept of any of that. So yeah, she's beautiful. She's a beautiful writer. I wish I could write like that about my own. Yeah, almost cathartic. It is. Rube says almost cathartic, and yeah, it is. It's very cathartic. Especially hand stitching them all. It must have taken forever. But she's brilliant. Now let's move on to the piece that was on the album but got cut. Just because this is a nice segue. And this is when I was writing, this was written about something that actually happened to me. And yeah, it's called Exquisite Love, but in French, because apparently I was a wanker back then. And yeah, just gonna read it. More narrative stuff, because you guys wanted more narrative, so strap the fuck in. Just gonna wet my whistle. Also, one thing I didn't mention in the housekeeping was that I cut my fringe to be a little bit more, I guess you could call it. Stand my Joe Exotic shirt back up. I do indeed have 2 meth-addled husbands below the floor. That's where they are. They're not coming out today because I've yet to introduce them to society. But Joe Exotic did give me his shirt before he left the 2 husbands with me. So, yeah, right. This one's called Exquisite Love. La douleur exquise. I probably murdered that French. Valentina, please shout at me and tell me how to pronounce it properly. Send me a voice recording or something. Okay. Taken too much tramadol again. It's a familiar feeling floating through the arms of my opiate saviour, chasing away the relentless lower back pain from the organs rotting inside my body, the ones that betrayed me even before I was born. Thing is, I guess, at least I know how I'm going to die. The thing is, though, it's not quite at its worst yet, and to be honest, I'm just another fucking junkie, wasting the time I do not have to waste. Oh boy. It's just... Doctor, I can't work when I'm in pain. This year, the Christmas drama has come early, an obligatory "I'm home for Christmas" text from a childhood lover, and, you know, that one we all have. And it takes all my willpower and all this opium not to fall back into the 7-year cycle well-travelled. And this is not my soulmate. No, I beg myself, respond with my characteristic curt but polite response. The one that those who don't know me call confidence or arrogance or both. So, I've taken too much tramadol. Again. To quell the pain. From my body, my heart, all of it and everything else I can't bring myself to whisper. To break the curse of the Christmas drama, even for a little while. So I'm up on my cloud like nothing can touch me, floating down escalators and shrugging into seats. And one of the things I love about London is that you can disappear down the rabbit hole of yellow lights and dirty tube mice. Well, they're sort of like rabbits, and emerge half an hour later the other side of the world. It's good for my head, these transport links, good for the part of me I inherited from the circus that is filled with the eternal urge to run away. And run away far. So, I'm in my seat. Middle of the carriage. A white flash. A reminder, just because a cycle is well-travelled, familiar, it doesn't mean it's a comfort. Thinking about, do I trust that I've left enough food for my cat? Thinking, oh shit, I should adjust my eyeliner so there's none on my chin. And when I sat down earlier, the bright, angry colours of the girl next to me's phone screen drew my energy momentarily, and I purposefully directed my eyes. Polite respect. She's got her headphones in anyway, and I react to her lovely dark hair, her curvy face, kind of like I want to sing you to sing me to sleep. Curvy as fuck, and I remember thinking, I bet you'd look so pretty if you just smiled. Not very feminist of me. Then, well, maybe I can make you smile. One day. So, I pull out my compact and display with talent that stems only from a die-hard Londoner my ability to adjust my makeup on the tube. And I promise you, I'm not so fucked that I can't do my makeup, and I'm wary of leaning in too far to the women either side of me, puckering my lips and reapplying my lip gloss, and when I think I'm near presentable, I flick it all back into my shoulder bag and reach for my Kindle. And there's a few moments where I scroll from my book and the tube lights flicker on and off. Chaos. Dystopian. Lovely, ragged, only flashing. And then the pretty girl moves for me. Pulls her headphones out of her ears, holding them up in one snow-white hand, dives for my face fast, trying to cup my chin, and for a nanosecond I react. I lean out of her reach back onto the woman on the other side of me, and I usually have some clever and quick-witted cutting response for situations like this, but it's all happened too quickly, and I'm stoned and I'm stunned. Staring there. I've instantly gone to swipe her hand away. Quick hands. Palms out like they teach you in self-defense class for young, single, angry, drop-dead, fuck you women. Because of this, she stumbles over her words. You've got a bit of the quickest response that I can muster is don't touch the face. She's French. Accents, any accents I am always a sucker for. And then I'm torn between the horror that an absolute stranger has felt the need to touch my face and the intimacy that her gesture had managed to create. And do I feel like this because she's pretty, or is it something else, something to do with the Christmas hello text, some self-preservation, screw you buddy, I don't fucking need you urge? And she realised that she's overstepped her mark. Looks down at her feet. Turning half red, she mutters a quick sorry, and because I'm so still in shock, I don't tell her that it's fine. But I'm too English to move. Not that there's anywhere else to sit at 7:30 on the Victoria line to Stockwell anyway, and my kidneys still hurt despite the pain, and I don't want to draw more attention to myself than I already have, so I sit. I ferment. Her touch wakes something inside of me, some long-distant memory of a lover's touch, the one nights and the long terms and the maybe might have beens and the never words, the ones that meant everything, the ones that meant nothing. The ones that meant nothing. That ended up meaning everything. The ones I was in love with or in lust with, all the things that fell apart that I over or under reacted to. And I wonder, one of those men or women had touched me like that, would I have just widened my eyes and smiled like I'm cruising to get laid? Why then? Was that okay? For them to cup my face, and for me to inhale and close my eyes, smile into their kisses, something close to the harmony of love. I feel the echoes of 1,000 loving torches burnt into my skin. Surely, if I'm still mourning the loss of the last glorious touch from a heaven sent, then her touching me is like, this is fine? Sexy. Even. And why are my boundaries so fucked that I haven't even asked the pretty girl her name? My train arrives at Stockwell before I come to the decision, and I still can't decide if I'm a fool for letting my old lovers touch my face, or if I should have just asked her fucking name. So yeah, that was a story that I don't know why wasn't on the album, even after reading it like that. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't put it on the album. It's a good one, and she touched my face, and yeah, it's me being a big old bisexual, pansexual there. Should have asked her who she was. But yeah, I don't believe that any of you guys have ever read that one, or I've never even read it out. There's one person that I do know has read it before, but they are absolutely not watching, so there we go. God, the time does go fast when it's narrative stuff. So many hearts. Okay, so we've got 22 minutes left, which means I'm going to read one more of my pieces and one more of somebody else's. So this is the part where you guys get a choice. Either I can read from, I can't show you the cover for this book because it doesn't have one. So either I can read from, oh, it's upside down, a very well thumbed copy of Interview with the Vampire, because goths. Or I can read from Even Cowgirls Get the Blues, which was dedicated to my cowboy attire today, and my two husbands that are below the floorboards, and Joe Exotic. So cast your votes now. Vamps, one for vamps. Anybody else? Vampires or cowboys? It's the eternal struggle. It's my eternal struggle. There's a bit of a lag, so I'm waiting so everyone can vote. And if they don't pretty soon, it's just gonna be vampires. Anne Rice. Alright, overwhelmingly Anne Rice. That's a shame. But yeah, overwhelmingly Anne Rice. Oh, I just hit the microphone. I apologise. Sorry, microphone. I was going to do a bit from each, but either, please. Alright, vampires. We're doing vampires. Interview with a Vampire. Oh, hi, darling. Hello, Isabel. It's good to see you. I hope you're okay. Gosh. Blast from the past. So, basically... Oh, hello. Basically, if you... Oh, my God. Basically, if you don't have a copy of Interview with a Vampire without a cover, you haven't read it enough. Also, if a train ticket from 2010 doesn't fall out of it, you also are not paying attention. If somebody could go back in time to that date to York and tell me not to do it. 25th of October. Bloody hell. Well, somebody go back in time, take the ticket away from me. Do not make the mistakes I made by going to York from York on 25th of October. Wow. Oh, I remember. This is when I missed my fucking coach back. I was so hungover. I went to get the coach back from York to see my definitely absolute friend who definitely hadn't texted me in that thing. My God, this is so, yeah. So I was going to see him. And yeah, I missed the coach and had to pay £54.60 to get back to London. So fuck that. Now it's gone. Interview with a Vampire. Now, if you guys don't know who Anne Rice is, I'm going to revoke your goth card and possibly your Satanist cards. Honestly. But if there is anybody by any chance that is watching this that doesn't know who Anne Rice is, do yourself a favour and maybe read like the first 4. Not the Jesus ones, but you have to read the Jesus ones to make. Okay, well, you can do your own exploring. And you can guess what Interview with the Vampire is about, apart from it's not really about the interview in itself. Or you could just watch the film. That way you get to see Tom Cruise looking hot. And it's only a hot role. Here we go. So much Anne Rice. I'm gonna page back a few. Alright, I'm gonna go straight in for the blood fetish. Anne Rice is responsible for my blood fetish, by the way. So this is from Interview with the Vampire. I'm gonna hold it up like this so I can read it properly. Then a faint scent came with the wind. It was a sense of blood at once arousing me against my will, the warm, sweet scent of human blood that was spilled, flowing, and then I sensed the smell of living flesh, and I heard in time with the feet a dry horse breathing. But with it came another sound, faint and intermingled with the first, as the feet trampled closer and closer to the walls, the sound of yet another creature's halting, strained breath. And I could hear the heart of that creature beating irregularly, a fearful throbbing, but beneath that was another heart, a steady, pulsing heart growing louder and louder, a heart as strong as my own. Then, in the jagged gap through which we'd come, I saw him. His great, huge shoulder emerged first, and one long, loose arm and hand, the fingers curved, and then I saw his head over his other shoulder, and he was carrying a body. In the broken doorway, he straightened and shifted the weight and stared directly in the darkness towards us. Every muscle in me became iron as I looked at him and saw the outline of his head looming there against the sky, but nothing of his face was visible except the barest glint of the moon on his eye, and if it were a fragment of glass. And then I saw it glint on his buttons and heard them rustle as his arm swung free again, and one long leg bent as he moved forward and proceeded into the tower right towards us. I held fast to Claudia, ready in an instant to shove her behind me, to step forward to meet him. But then I saw, with astonishment, that his eyes did not see me as I saw him, and he was trudging under the weight of the body he carried towards the monastery door. The moon fell now on his bowed head, on a mass of wavy black hair that touched his bent shoulder, and on the full black sleeve of his coat I saw something about his coat. The flap of it was badly torn, and the sleeve appeared to be ripped from the seam. I almost fancied I could see his flesh through the shoulder. The human in his arms stirred now and moaned miserably, and the figure stopped for a moment and appeared to stroke the human with his hand. And at that moment I stepped forward from the wall and went towards him. No words passed my lips. I knew none to say. I only knew that I moved into the light of the moon before him, and that his dark, wavy head rose with a jerk, and that I saw his eyes. For one full instant, He looked at me, and I saw the light shining in those eyes and then glinting on two sharp canine teeth, and then a low, strangled cry seemed to rise from the depths of his throat, which for a second I thought to be my own. The human crashed to the stones, a shuddering moan escaping his lips, and the vampire lunged at me, that strangled cry rising again as the stench of fetid breath rose in my nostrils and the claw-like fingers cut into the very fur of my cape. I fell backwards, my head cracking against the wall, my hands grabbing at his head, clutching a mass of tangled filth that was his hair. At once, the wet, rotting fabric of his coat ripped open in my grasp, but the arm that held me was like iron, and as I struggled to pull my head backwards, the fangs touched the thresh of my throat. Claudia screamed behind him. Something hit his head hard, which stopped him suddenly, and then he was hit again. He turned as if to strike her a blow, and I sent my fist against his face powerfully as I could. Again, a stone struck him as she darted away, and I threw my full weight against him and felt his crippled leg buckling. I remember pounding his head over and over, my fingers all but pulling that filthy hair out by the roots, his fangs projected towards me until his hands scratching, clawing at me. We rolled over and over until I pinned him down again and the moon shone full on his face. And I realized, through my frantic, sobbing breaths, what it was I held in my arms. The two huge eyes bulged from naked sockets, and some more hideous holes made up his nose. Only putrid, leathery flesh enclosed his skull, and the rank, rotting rags that covered his frame were thick with earth and slime and blood. I was battling a mindless, animated corpse. But no more. From above him, a sharp stone fell full on his forehead, and a fount of blood gushed from between the eyes. He struggled, but another stone crashed with such force I heard the bones shatter. Blood seeped out between the matted hair, soaking into the stones and grass. The chest throbbed beneath me, but the arms shuddered and grew still. I drew up. My throat knotted, my heart burning, every fibre of my body aching from the struggle. And for a moment, the great tower seemed to tilt, but then it righted itself. I lay against the wall, staring at the thing, the blood rushing in my ears. Gradually, I realized that Claudia knelt on his chest, that she was probing the mass of hair and bone that had been his head. She was scattering the fragments of his skull. We had met the European vampire, a creature of the old world. He was dead. Woo! And if you're asleep, you may not know that is not her erotica. Anne Rice did a whole bunch of fairy tales as erotica that I haven't read. I really should get around to reading those. I don't know if they're any good, but if that's not erotic, then I don't know what is. And I am very turned on now because there was a lot of blood involved in that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I was going to read some poetry that I wrote on a course I did yesterday, which was using magic techniques to invoke poetry and prose. However, we do not have time for that because it is all prose all the time on this show now. So I will have to save that for next time, which will be next week. Apologies. Or maybe I'll read it to close. I'll read one of them to close. Nicely read. Thanks, Rubes. I have my practice. All right. For this, I wrote so much, but yes. Yeah, I'll read that on the way out, because it's short, so I can do it in 5-10 seconds. Yeah, it was a workshop that my best friend sent me about magic ritual and creativity. It was so helpful. It was in America, so it was 2 p.m. 2 p.m. American time, but like 7 p.m. for me. Really helpful. So yeah, I'll go deeper into that next time, just because I'm conscious that Instagram's going to cut off after about an hour, and I have done a lot of chatting today because I've missed you guys. Look at me getting emotionally attached. And now this one is called All We Ever Dreamed, and it is on my first album. And again, it came from a dream that I had, where I really did have this dream. I wish I still had the longer version. There was a longer version of this. Oh, AJ Hyde 95 says missed you too. Yeah, I missed you guys. Violet says we've missed your beautifulness. Yeah, as you might have worked out by now, I'm very good at getting myself into ridiculous medical trouble. So don't expect it to be the last, because it won't. I always try and think of it like the world gave me a nice outside, my insides are all fucked up, because like everything's a balance, you know? So yeah. Here we go. This one is called All We Ever Dreamed. Rat bastard? He's a wordsmith. This gigantic energy holding an actual rat in his sleeve. He smokes clove cigarettes, the smoke curls round his forehead, and Cherry Bomb and I, as a collective, we're vibrating. Amphetamine smeared throng, and at this point in the night we're open to suggestion, me and the Cherry Bomb and his band of followers, and the rest of us Cupid's slaves. We're circling nearby as Rat Bastard slides into conversation. You know, he lands, there's an open theatre near here. Immersive. Promenade. And us? We find our footing in music and art and theatre and books as much as we find our escape in them. We're slaves to that creative dirge, and we sob over Nick Cave at 4 a.m. because that pretty voice and those heroin cheekbones remind us why life might still be worth living. Bullshit. Goes Cherry Bomb. Ain't nothing like that open this late. Early. I think. Late. Early. We're all mourning ourselves so hard that we don't even know what day it is, which side of sunrise we are, and even if we did, do we know what we mean to each other anymore? Fuck, I doubt it. And mainly we're just all trying to be the most eccentric, right? Right. I'm telling you, says the Rat Bastard. It's just a little way from here. It's not too far. It's a real big secret, so don't tell them what I told you, that I told you it's there. I'll take you bitches, but don't you tell no one. Rat Bastard's flick knife against my lily throat. Bad boys go orbiting my snug. Slingshot intravenous for a couple of months, and I'll probably never heal the pattern in me that just makes me want to mother them. That sharp blade against my neck will just make me want to fuck you, you fool, so twist it right in. I'm sure I'm not using all my blood anyway. So I stare down Rat Bastard as Cherry Bomb links his hand into mine. Shakes it. Theatre. I exhale. Cool. And then I turn to Cherry Bomb. Wanna go, babe? Because we don't conform to no gender binary, and I'm feeling like a badass motherfucker. So I nod yes. And Cherry Bomb, he shrugs, and the stars in his hair glow silver for a few seconds. Yeah, he says. Cool. Whatever you want, we've got no wine left anyway. So I place a lily hand on the blade handle, push it back from my throat, unwillingly curtailing the danger. So maybe the rat bastard will give a cherry rum and I the knife as a gift to play with later on. And he isn't smoking a cigarette now, so the rat in his sleeve just stares at me with those black eyes, pouring and pouring deep down into the parts of me where I'm still scared. And then, you had a way out, says the rat, but I don't hear him till much later. I don't hear him till I'm mangled, legs torn off, tendons stretched like a wire across piano keys, a symphony spelt out with organs to carry on, this warning letter to lost bohemian gypsy princesses with daddy issues not to follow cherry bombs into the ether. Don't use that word anymore. Bad past me. And the terrible moon whispers. So we haul up our anchors and follow Rat Bastard down the street. And in the suburbia of Muswell Hill, people are waking up for work. I can see the sun peeking over the horizon, sending bullets of sunshine into the rolling hills. The half-light, it creeps into every corner, it finds its way between the cracks, bathing everything in a spun amber icon. Flush, it lights up Cherry Bomb, his cupid lips, his messy starlit hair, all forced back at right angles from his temples. Satin skin hand in mine, and he notices me staring at him with puppy dog eyes. Stop it, he hisses. I should wipe that pathetic grin off your face. You love it. I do. Fuck. Can you read my mind? Well, I never doubted it, did I? Really, we can't communicate with just our skin. That would be too crass. Our world is way more transcendental than that motherfucking bittersweet crash. So then, Rat Bastard saves the day. He pulls us up outside a seemingly uninhabited warehouse, boarded up with windows, through which I track the low-light ghosts of atmospheric nightmares. I can feel this place's collective heart beating, lungs taking deep breath, perfect sigh. And the rest of our friends that we hate gather. Cherry Bomb drops my hand and I widen my eyes low and I'm cruising to get fucked. Scream. In the dark. And I'm so tired of being used by everyone. I expect betrayal. Isn't that sad? In a way, I favour Rat Bastard at this moment. His top hat rat, Papa Legba realness. Papa Legba realness, his limp. So on point, Hammer Horror, down to his lop-eyed squint as he closes talon claws around a piece of wood I figured was nailed onto the side of this amber-lit warehouse, and it smells of rain on moss, and when he pulls back the driftwood, it crumbles ever so slightly, sending splinter warriors off into the dawning new day. Oblivion, he says. Based on Goya, he says. Based on Escher, he says. Then the rat, like, it's only ever been here because I've wished it to, goes, real heavy. Kid. You sure you can handle it? Don't ever call me a kid. I am a fucking woman, goddammit, the last in a long line of women you failed to burn for her sins. This meat sack of tits and tattoos and bile and hate and this ashen heart that expects to be broken yet still beats so secretly with hope. Don't you dare call me a child, buddy. I will murder you and everything you hold dear. Just going to say goodbye to Instagram. If you've been watching on Instagram, thank you so much. There is a slight piece more of this, so if you do want to hear any more, jump over to Facebook. jump over to YouTube, jump over to Twitter, jump over to Twitch, basically anything that doesn't restrict streaming to an hour. And if you can't be fucked, thank you for coming. I'm going to carry on. It's my hour alarm. Beep, 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 beep. Oof, imagine that waking you up. Right. All We Ever Dreamed Part 2. And the thing is, there's times where you have to take comfort over social responsibility. Yeah? I say. Well, fuck you too then, rat bastard. And I take Cherry Bomb's ever-changing long piano fingered hand for comfort. The setting scene, this place, our own. Perfect counter-cunt culture, that, having immersive theatre that's open all hours, and I think about the wonder of realness, of how art strives so desperately to intimidate art. After all, I spelled that word wrong. After all, what is that we're doing but trying to show the way? Confession, comforting, conforming, all wrapped up in a pretentious exterior. And I'm not happy unless I'm following the chart of someone else's pain, the quiver of their bold necessity to shout what happened from the rooftops. And even Cherry Bomb has sung songs about how much he'll never love me, but I got under his skin anyway, didn't I? Carve your name. Butcher, butcher, butcher right across me at right angles, and rat bastard notices I'm daydreaming and gives me a little nudge. What do you say, kid? You game? So that was the end of that. I did write. Thank you to everybody who's still here, by the way. Same, it sucks that we lost Instagram, but yeah, I'm sure Instagram hates me too. We've got some comments here saying, this is the piece that really made me fall in love with your writing. Oh, thank you, Mark. Violet says that piece was exquisite. Yeah, apologies I cut it in the middle. There is more where they go into the warehouse, but I'm going to have to try. I don't know where it is. I'm going to have to try and find it. I did get up to quite far in this narrative. And again, yeah, it came from a dream. I have really, really, really vivid dreams. And I spent my entire life trying to write them down, and I don't think it's ever going to stop, but I don't think I should. AJ Hyde 95 says beautiful writing. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, well, it is 5:03, so I'm going to sign off now. But before I do, let me just jiggery pokery the buttons. Yes, before I do, I'm going to leave you with a poem. This is a poem I wrote yesterday on my magic ritual and writing course. Got to head off, but lovely seeing your work. Bye, Molly. Yeah, I'm going to head off now. But then, if I keep going forever, you won't have to come back next week. So, yep, going to read this, then we're going to go. But thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. As I said, there's no credits this week because I was playing Animal Crossing. I'm not sorry about it. If you two are an Animal Crossing fan, let me know. I can come to your island. My new island's got pears and roses, so it's like far superior. Violet says, thank you yet again for another fantastic stream. Rube says, excellent. Yeah, I am going to read this and then I'm going to log off. But please do come next week at 4 p.m. I will be reinstating the Facebook event and it will be switching to an online event. So what I'm going to do is I will figure out some way of making a page I can link to so you have all the different streaming services you can watch me on. Thank you if you're watching on Twitter. I know we get a lot of people from around the world. Never stop writing down the vivid dreams. Yeah. It's never stop writing down the vivid dreams, says Violet. And yeah, I guess that's a good place to sort of end this rambling, really. Yeah, it's the sort of thing where if you have really crazy, vivid, intense dreams, either you write them down or you let them send you mad, and I know which one I would prefer. This is a poem I wrote about the King of Wands, because part of the course was we had to sit with a a card that we pulled from the tarot deck. I'm not going to say too much about the course because you guys should do it. It's amazing. And if anybody does want to do it, get in touch with me. I'll send you the links. They are running them on a kind of semi-regular basis, as long as you don't mind dialing in to an American class, which I found great. And there were people there that were better writers than me, and that's really important to immerse yourself in that kind of circle, because the only way you ever improve your own creative art is by striving to become better. I'm going to leave you with that nugget of wisdom. So, but thank you from me. Thank you from Blur. Oh, it's the other side. Thank you for Blur. For some reason, didn't flip you off at the TV again, so I'm going to do that one more time. Okay, I'm over it. Thank you so much. I love you all. I was very nervous about today because I'd gotten out of the swing of things, and this has been absolutely wonderful to spend time with you. We will be back definitely as long as lockdown continues, possibly after, depending on how the numbers go. Please, as always, subscribe, follow, play the albums on Spotify, paypal.me/Nicoletta Wylde if you want to help towards my streaming costs. A pro account costs $50 a month, so I would appreciate it, and the rest of the money will be spent on advertising costs for the brand new Facebook event that will hopefully make a little bit more sense. So if anyone does have anything to contribute, that would be great. There is the bucket speech done, and this one does not have a title because I wrote it yesterday, and I love you all so much. Thank you for bearing with me. Sorry about technology, but look at the cool TV stream. Thank you, AJ. Here we go, King of Wands. The King of Wands is here to say he thinks about me every way, through pulsing thick rods to fiery stones. Exalted, it's him they can't ignore. But I, eternal weaver of fate, have boiled his brains, but I already ate. Thank you.